G'day and welcome. Hang on, let me just adjust you a bit. We're good. Right. Tea, I'm back with tea. Right, so, g'day and welcome. And I've just done a live feed with Graham, XA Coupe Guy, and DJ from Automotive Carnage channels. Graham's in South Australia, DJ's in Western Australia, and I'm in Victoria. And it was cut short. I had to go and pick Rosie up from work. And so the feed was sort of cut short, and I did it at a late time. There wasn't that many people there, but it was good to get in touch with those two guys. And I am in touch with them quite a bit, but also to sort of televise it on, or publish it on YouTube, if you know what I mean. And we've got a joint project all coming up. And I'll write in the description both channels. Most people who watch their stuff might watch here as well. And Vicky Burker, it's all good. This video is actually a bit, okay, so it's like this. I haven't had much content out this year so far. And one of the reasons for that is because I've been cleaning up and there's a lot of work around the house and this sort of stuff. And so one of the things, actually, I had 2 sheds absolutely loaded with stuff, and I'm down to sort of 1.5. And I've thrown a lot of stuff out, and there's a lot of it which is Suzanne's, which she is still yet to take, or I'll store for her, whatever. It's still got to be gone through. But one of the things I have to do is pull the EJ apart, and I want to get that blasted and in some sort of sealer, and have it in that back shed, access through the garage, just to protect it from the elements, if you know what I mean. I don't want it sitting out there too long. And of course, the issue is I need to store the stuff from it, and that'll go under the house. And when I went under the house and had a look, it's all Starlet stuff. Like boxes and boxes. There's 6 up there on the thing now, on the porch, and there's another 3 boxes, plus panels in the sheds, power steering kits, sorry, I got something in my mouth, and just stuff everywhere, And I don't mind having a spare of this and that, but I don't want to have, a full car under there sort of thing, minus the shell. And that's what I was trying to pull out. And there's a couple of things to say with that, because there are a few ways to handle that sort of mess. Yeah, we can throw it out. Okay, a lot of it goes into landfill. Landfill's a big problem, particularly rubber components. Australia, I think, goes through 20 million tyres a year. And landfill with tyres is awful because the soil's never going to be stable with that underneath it. There is an Australian firm, that has found a way to add a chemical and a lot of heat, and it sort of reduces the tyres to crude oil, a bit of rubber and some steel belts. And it's a very good thing to do, but it's very energy intensive and slow. And we can't get around that, because tyres are something I always take to the tyre service when I'm finished with them, and I pay them a fee to get rid of them, because you can't put them on hard rubbish, you can't do anything with them. But there's all this other stuff as well. So we can throw it out. I've got to the point now where selling is difficult. I'm going to say difficult since COVID, or at least a little bit more. People want more money for stuff, and sellers have gone crazy with the price of cars. But not just that, buyers are being a little bit more astute too. And I'm finding it difficult in a way. I've had friends trying to sell things that are very difficult to move, which shouldn't be. Sorry, I just trimmed. And I think I've got hair in my mouth. And, the other thing is, when you sell stuff, of course, you put an ad on, whether it be Gumtree or eBay, Marketplace, whatever it is, and, the guy's going to be late, or he says he's going to be there at 4 o'clock and he doesn't show up, and you've got things to do, time's of the essence, I've still got my kids here, and then he's going to come tomorrow, and you've got plans, and he's going to come Sunday, and then he forfeits, and, it just becomes a pain in the neck for the sake of, what, $50 for a part? I don't want to throw stuff out, but I don't really want to sell it either, to be honest. And even giving stuff away, I've paid postage to send things to people, and I don't mind that, to people that are patron supporters or long-time supporters of the channel. I've got no bones at all with that, but more often than not, it's not those people. So we can chuck stuff out, we can sell it, or we can put it all into another car, right? Which is what I've done. Which is you're going to go, oh God, shut your laptop and all this. Don't worry, it's a very, very quick thing. I found a car on Marketplace that had been parted out, and it was a similar story, although I'm not sure to what extent. Guy wanted to sell his car, couldn't sell it, so he decided to part it out and get his money that way. The engine is still in it. That was going to be sold, but he wanted to get rid of the shell by this weekend, or last weekend I should say. And I ended up stuffing him around because I bought the car and I paid him the money, and it wasn't very much money. And my tow truck driver forfeited twice because he had emergency jobs coming up, and so that meant the car didn't get here till yesterday, and yesterday was Wednesday, so it was a few days over, which I didn't mean to do, but you know, it's circumstance. That's the same with other people coming to buy stuff, but quite often it's just circumstance. So the car got here. I noticed in the ad it had been parted out. Odd things are gone from it. All the front panels are gone, you know, the bonnet, the guards and the headlights and the bumper brace and all this sort of other stuff. Even the driver's door's scratched up, and I've got another one of those, the right colour that's straight as an arrow. So I just thought, you know what, I'll grab another one. Okay, it needs a clutch. I had a spare clutch somewhere, and I don't know where it is, but I'll throw all this stuff into that car, and that just tidies everything up, and whatever's left, one or two small parts is cool, you know, spare alternator, spare starter, that sort of stuff, I'll keep that, but all the rest of it can go. And there's just junk, you know, it's things like seat runners, and it's things like, you know, the strap that holds your seatbelts on, and a bunch of seatbelts, and just crap, you know, just stuff that no one wants. So, look, this isn't the Plymouth, it's not the XC. The XC's, I get a lot of message about the XC, when you're going to finish it. Well, I'll finish it this year. That's all good. Particularly with this other Ford coming, I've got to, well, I think we'll put the guards on that other Ford and bring them all at once, and then I'll paint them and stick them on the car. So I'm not even worried about that. The car's finished as it is. Just needs the guards putting on, the headlights putting in, they're all done, and we're off and running. So if you get a bit frustrated, I understand it, but at the end of the day, I hope you enjoy. Right. Alana keeps talking while I'm trying to film. Are you there? I can't see. Oh, there you are. Right, and she's making me lose track. Oh, okay, so we've got Starlet wheels. There's 4 of them here. Always pretty spiffy tyres. These were the ones off that green one over there. And I put the Yokohamas I had on because they were pretty new, and these aren't bad. That's an all-rounder, or we used to call them out-of-rounders. But I think the 4th one of these is the spare in that other car. I don't know why I didn't put that in. Maybe the rim looked better on the other one, I'm not sure. So I've got all this stuff here. There's also all these fasteners I've got. And there's a headlight in here. There's a headlight there. I think that's a Starlet one. I've got all this stuff, indicator lamps, you name it, I've got it. Oh, bugger it. It's a headlight, right? You believe me, don't you? Gee whiz, I'm still trying to clean up, and I'm kind of doing a good job, and I'm kind of not. Right. There's a bonnet, and there is a driver's door, and there's glass down there. And there are steering wheels, and radios, and console bits, and seat covers, and parcel trays, all sorts of stuff. Even hubcaps down there. So, oh, there's a console. Oh, and more stuff in here, speakers and all sorts of stuff. So, it's a matter of sort of thinking, right, what are we actually going to do with all this stuff? I need somewhere to put it. Putty cat. This is Charlie's putty cat. Hey, pussycat. That's Lulu. Hey, puss. The other cat used to eat copious amounts of possums and never caught a bird, but always loved possums. This guy, or girl, she doesn't eat anything, just cat food. Gear shifter cables. I've got all these bits of hardware here. Dash cross, oh hang on, what's that? Cross brace for the dash. All this stuff, GD256 screws, oh radio. This was one that I wrecked a long time ago, and I actually regretted doing it. It was a stupid thing to do, handbrake bits and pieces. So I'm looking for suspension parts. Upper dash clips, I recognise those. Exhaust. Front guards. I can't find the thing I'm looking for. And a door handle. Trouble with me is I pack things all the time and consequently never remember what I put or what I put in the box. That's to sort of make the habit of writing it down. Right, okay. seat padding, door seals. There's the steering wheel. Just a minute. This is a mint wheel. There's no inflator in it though. I have got a Corolla one, which is the same. This is a Supra wheel, same thing. And I've got a Corolla one, which has a auto-live airbag inflator, but I'm just reluctant to put it in because I don't know. I mean, there's that, it's a Takata. Right, been cleaning up a bit. 6 boxes of Starlet stuff. GD was the silver one I wrecked a couple of years ago, and the PG.1 was the one that was written off, the red one. There's all sorts of stuff in here. Wiring looms and that sort of stuff I'm inclined to keep, but I don't need 3 of everything. Most of it's just crap. I actually need a 98 pedal box, and these are both 97. I've got that tailgate there, and there's a full set of, what's a Bluebird bumper? I think, yeah, I've got 2 fronts. No, I've got 1 front. No, I've got 2 fronts and 2 rear bumpers there. Well, the other one's not there, it's over yonder. That was the tailgate I painted. That didn't quite fit mine because it had a bit of a smack in the bum. Not a bad one, but just enough to sort of make it problematic to put on. Guards, I've got 2 sets of front guards as well. So I've got to clean all those boxes out, find out what's in those. I think some of that's from when Mum moved home. But I need this all clean under here because I've got to put most of this EJ Holden under there. And I just don't want crap lying around out here. That's bad enough there's a battery there, that's got to go. But we'll keep going. I'm just going through junk. Some of which I'll keep, some of which I'll throw away. And this is all Starlet. Some of this stuff will go. You know, things like taillights I'll hang on to obviously because I've got a couple of them now. And, you know, there's sports dashes and all sorts of stuff in there. But a lot of this stuff will just be scrap. You know, there's a boot garnish off the green one I've got now that's actually broken on both sides. That goes straight in the bin. It's no good to anybody. I don't know at the moment what state of repair that other car's in, so what parts I'll need. You know, there's good boot struts but you know, dash braces, this sort of stuff. Whoops. Can go in the bin. I've just got to work out what I want to keep and what I don't want to keep, and free up some room, basically, because some of this stuff, that's the grey Starlet we wrecked, that's the red one. Some of this stuff I'll be able to reuse. So, for example, the car I bought didn't have the rear wiper. Somebody bought the rear wiper motor for the tailgate, so I've got that with all the wiring. A couple of steering columns I don't think I need. That's 97, which I don't need. That's 98, I'm sure. Yeah, I think it is. So it uses a different slip joint, or a different sort of uni shaft for the power steering, because I will use that. That's converting a 97 to a 98 with the airbags and all that sort of stuff. I don't need that. And there's seat rails, canisters, you know. A couple of radiator fans. I only really need to sort of keep one. Of course, an alternator and a starter I'll hang on to. God, what a heap of crap. A parted out Starlet with chop springs. They're the wheels from under the house, so it's got wheels on it now. And there's no bonnet, there's no gear shift cables. Well, there's one. Apparently the clutch is gone, or the pressure plate's gone. No, the thrust bearing's gone. Not sure what we'll do with that. It's been rained on a bit. Rusty fittings. And it's just generally crap. Generally. Right. Let's have a look in here, what they've done. Okay, first things first, someone's chopped the radio wiring. I think that's radio, I hope it's radio. Yes, it is radio. No gear boot. It's a bit of a mess. The steering wheel was gone. That's one of my steering wheels. And what else? That's all speaker wiring. and chopped speaker wiring with modified connectors. No big deal. No radio. I don't know what the fascia is. It's probably in here somewhere. Some sacked out things. He was supposed to give me a receipt. Owner's warranty. Receipt. Let's have a look. Has he done the right thing? Tasty. There's no receipt. I asked him to give me a receipt. What do you got here? No, he hasn't. I don't think he's done that, which makes me rather miffed. Alright. I was to leave it in the glove box, but I didn't stop to think there might not be a glove box in here. Someone's put non-genuine stereo leads and all this sort of stuff. It had a different gear knob, but they've just put that one back. Got no gears. What else is there to say about it, really? It's just a bucket of poo. Apparently the aircon's cold. That's a start. It's got a key. Oh, it's got Yaris floor mats. I can clean those and stick them in the other Toyota. Oh, here's a glove box. Still nothing in it. Parcel tray, they've taken the speakers off. And I told them not to bother about the muffler, because I knew they'd do that. So, anyway, he ignored me. That's rather annoying. Great, that doesn't open. Sweet, we're off to a really good start. Is this one open? No, it's a different ignition key. Okay, we'll have to figure that one out. It says a 98. What else is there to say about it, really? It's a bucket of crap. But I want to see if it's worth using recycled parts to make a good car. Exhaust gasket, good. I'll reuse that. The exhaust is missing. There's a couple of clamps down there. The springs. This car was parted out, so there was no care with how it was left. It's just how it was. Let's see if we can get that other thing open. They're buggered, those trims, which is normal. That still smells like fuel in there. It still smells like freshish fuel. Oh, goodness me. Automated globe. Oh, we've got some spare lights. Very nice. It's missing a gear boot. Cigarette lighter's been used. Yuck. And the books. So it's a Cure, what it had. It was a roadside assist thing offered for new Toyotas back when these were new. It's not bad, actually. I've just got to get all this Aftermarket BS off. Alright. It's okay. Doesn't seem to be leaky or anything. So we've just got to have a look around and see what parts we've got. They've painted the valve cover blue, the rock cover, or silvery blue. It's just a general all-round bucket of crap. That goes on the shocker tower. That goes like that. That's right. The funny thing about it though is people have taken off the pedals. It's missing the accelerator and brake pedal. Not the accelerator, the brake and the clutch pedal. I wonder why. That's the sort of stuff I would do in swapping them over. So I've got a clutch pedal. I've got a brake pedal too, but it's the wrong one. It's an automatic one. So we'll put all this stuff back and see how she goes. I think the first thing I'll do is I might pull the gearbox out and have a look at the clutch. I should really see if the motor works, but I'm pretty sure it does. But it's all good. I'm happy with that. I might pull the plugs out and just make sure there's no water got in there. I doubt there would have. But even things like that, There are your screws for the indicators that go in there. So it's like, it's worth just looking everywhere to see what they've done, because this car, as I said, was supposed to be, or was parted out, and you know, as such it would have been sort of, they'd have treated it fairly roughly, which is their prerogative. Oh gosh, is that another one? That looks like another one there. Anyway, I suppose the first thing, I've just got to move some cars around, push it in, and we'll get a bonnet, stick a bonnet on it just to keep it dry, and eventually we'll take it from there. Look at this, as if I want that crap. You can see the wheel. I'll show you why the wheels are splayed like that. Comes down to the way they're fastened. But I'll go and get that bonnet out of the shed, put it on, and I think we might take the gearbox out. It's not too windy and noisy for you. Okay, that's roughly around about a 2 units of measurements us mechanics use, and we don't often use it, but when we do, we thrash it. There should be a hose. I've probably got that somewhere else, but there we go, we've got a bonnet. How lovely does that look? Alright, let's jack it up and take those wheels off, and I'll show you why they're so splayed. The reason it was impossible to push, just got coach, sort of like coach bolts. I got them from Bunnings, just so, well, the car had no suspension. He'd sold it, and he got these chopped. Suspension with chopped springs. And he warned me about that. They were free, just to get the thing rolling. So those shockers are stuffed because they leak anyway. But that's the movement we've got. So that's all got to come out. This is the beauty of this car. We'll take those out. We've been doing a bit of bush bashing in it. It's amazing what these things will put up with. And you can see those discs look a bit heavy going. But old Mike, I can see what thickness they are. The pads are a bit worn. But that'll do, they'll work for now. I can't believe people do this. Like, the shocker is just knackered. And look at this. It's just leaking and it's stuff, so that's garbage. That's straight in the bin. Hopefully the wind doesn't bother you. I've just got this stick here before I put the guard on. The bonnet stick's normally mounted to the guard. Right, now, got these struts in. That's cool. The stub axle's just hanging there. This guy reckons this thing had a recent roadworthy, which I don't believe a word of that. Because the boot, the rack boot's knackered. It's ripped. Which doesn't bother me because I'll probably just put a power steering rack in it. What else? Other side? Yeah, pretty much the same thing. I just think it makes more sense to take the gearbox out now, because all of these cables and everything are disconnected anyway, or at least one of them is missing. So I've taken everything off at the top. Oh, visibility is pretty shocking. I love it when they cut exhaust hangers. Now I've got to find some. I'm pretty sure I've got some, not sure. So I'll drain the gearbox out tomorrow. It's getting a bit dark now. And pop the drive shafts out and pull the gearbox out and have a look. But otherwise, all's well. Looks like it's had a new belt on it. Need to check the cam bell, and I'll change this belt out because your power steering pump goes up there, and I've got everything there to mount that. Nice easy job. So that's about it for now. Right, let's have a look at our little Starlet. We have a bit of an issue because that clutch doesn't look that bad from what I can see of it. The thrust bearing, which was supposed to be knackered, is fine. There's nothing wrong with it. There's a bolt missing on the pressure plate. Can you see it? Down there? I think you can see it. Yeah, you can see it. That could make a hell of a noise, but I can't see any marks around the pressure plate. Nor can I see any damage in here where it might have been running. And nothing dropped out when I pulled the gearbox out. So that's an issue within itself. So The problem could be in the gearbox itself or in the engine. I don't care which because I've got a spare engine. And I also have 2 spare gearboxes. But I just want to know what it is before I put it together and then find out the noise is still there. So I'm going to whip that clutch pressure plate off and have a bit of a look. Right, it's been getting nice and warm. It's a bit undulated. But that's not an old clutch at all. Because those diaphragms are a bit loose. I don't think that's an issue. Flywheel's nice and blue. That broken stud or bolt, the thread's just coming out. I might just take the flywheel out, off in a minute. I should hold my camera up, shouldn't I? Shit, what's going on with that? Those guys put a heap of Loctite on these, I think. Hang on a minute. No idea. Well, the rear main's not leaking anyway, that's a good thing. There's the flywheel. Could use a machine. No heat cracks in it, just a bit of blue. Could probably just scrub it with a bit of 80 grit. That clutch, pardon me, is fine. I'd be inclined to change it anyway. I just wish I knew what this noise was. I tried to ring the guy that sold it to me, and he didn't answer. Probably because he knows. I don't know. I don't know, but that thrusty is absolutely fine. All the fingers were level on the clutch, the pressure plate, everything. So it's got me a bit baffled. As I said, I mean, gearbox, not a problem. If it's stuffed, I'll just give it to work for the apprentices. And I'll just pick up one of the 2 I've got in the shed because I know they're all right. I'm sort of half tempted to put one in anyway. Looking at that again, there are some marks, some metallic-y marks there. But it's not what I would have thought for something flying around in there. I might just get a magnet, just a sec. There's no bolt fragments there. It's just a bit salt and pepper, that's all. Nothing in there. So I don't know. I don't know, but I would like to find out before I go any further. Because while it's like this, that engine's dead easy to take out. I'm almost tempted just to swap it over anyway, because I know the other one's fine. I don't know. I'll have to find out. But you know what? It doesn't even matter. The upside is it's got a new engine mount on the back. I wish people didn't do this. They cut the exhaust mounts. I think I've got some exhaust mount rubbers, but I'm not sure. But I've got everything here to finish the car. Everything. Right. Oh my goodness. Right, we've got some power steering and a reservoir brackets and all this sort of stuff. There's a few bits different on the power steered cars than non-power steered. I do have a second pump, but I'm sure I've got a second kit. I'm sure I've got 2 racks and another reservoir and all this stuff. We're going to power pack this car, so we'll use that dash as opposed to the original one there. That's not out of this car, it's out of a different car. And that means we've got to rewire the back, I think. I've changed the wiring from 90... Mine's a 97, my green one, and I made that into a 98 power pack car. So that meant repinning some of the things on the back, and I'll just do that if I need to. I've got power mirrors, I've got central locking in another box somewhere, I can't find where it is. Goodness, I've got actually a brand new, as good as new old stock steering wheel for a 98. But I'm not putting that on, I'll save that one. There's a bunch of stuff to throw out. I did pick up another seat. That was $57. Just because there's one inside, that the driver's one where the driver gets in and out on this side, sorry, where it's collapsed and the foam's just knackered. So I'll use the foam from that and wash the cover and see how it shows up. Got to finish that motorcycle too. So nobody's got visitors, so I'm not going to arc up rattle guns or anything like that. But I'm very pleased with the stuff I've got. That's all the stuff going in the car. Well, there's bolt kits in there, so you know, things like this, if there's seat bits missing or whatever, I've got everything there. It's all arranged in kits. That's as good as a new old stock ashtray. Just a moment. I always say things like this. No dart has ever gone near that. The only thing is you've seen people have had change in there, which is sort of lightly scratched the surface. If I was fussy, you could buff that out, which is just stupid, really, on a Starlet. But, you know, that'll go in, and it's a fine-looking piece, where most of the ones you get are faded across the front. You can recolour them. It's pretty easy, but they look fairly well knackered. Like this one here, which is, you know, if I was going to clean a car up, you know, I wouldn't put that in. I mean, it could be. Actually, I don't even know if that's been smoked in. That's another good one. Hang on. When they're smoked in, they just ruin them. That's actually a good one too. I didn't even know. I can recolour the front of that and put this one away. But, you know, I've got another cigarette lighter somewhere too that's never been used. Non-smoked cars are just so much better. Even if you smoke yourself, you can't refute that. Not the cars that have never been smoked in are just so much better. Taking that seat out. I thought they had different fabric, but I was wrong. It's because somebody's replaced the panel on that outer one there. So that can go in the bin. Pulled a few things out the seat, obviously. Also the gear shift. And the steering column. I've taken that out as well. So it's kind of nice and empty down the back there. This is the shifter, obviously, and the two cables. And people that modify these cars or drive them very hard tend to break the cables. So somebody's obviously broken this one, which fits along the side here to there, and taken it from the car. So I've got the bit, what do you call it, the cover that goes over there I've got. And these cables I had, I don't remember if this is out of the red one or I might have another set, I'm not sure. I can't remember what I've got because it's all in different places, but I'm going to fit these to that shifter back in the car. And we'll dig out, I've got to dig out a power steering rack because I'm going to change that over as well. It's just a dead easy modification. There's a lot of people that tell you can't do it because there's so many different types. The kits themselves are the same, it's the steering column that's different. So your steering column, hang on, let me get back here. The steering column on a 96-97 is different from 98-99, yeah? Because of the airbag. And the uni's coming down off the steering column. The shaft is different as well. Now, the brake pedal's different. The crash bar across the circumference, or the width of the car, sorry, is different, but the rest of it's all the same. So that's why I'm a bit baffled as to why somebody's taken the 98 brake pedal out. Because the brake pedal's not a thing that fails in a Starlet. Unless they've done what I did with that green one, and that's the 97 car with 98 stuff in it. But that's the reason I sort of did that, because I wanted it to be a 98 type car with that steering wheel and so forth. Those steering wheels are very much like Super ones, and we're all the same thing. So, and your wiring loom's all different. Also, a 98 wiring loom comes through the engine down there on the firewall, that big sort of empty spot, whereas your 98 99s have two large grommets on either of the, or just forward of the A-pillars on both sides. So that's where all your wiring goes in 98 99, where the earlier ones have a smaller hole there. So I will dig out a rack. I think I've got two of them, and look at fitting it now. While the gearbox is out, it makes no difference really, but just a bit better access and visibility. Starling steering, you can see the difference between the power steering at the top and the manual steering at the bottom. And the boot that goes in through the firewall is much taller because the power steering rack itself is taller itself, which means it's got a shorter sort of fitting to go in through the firewall. This is part of what's called a power pack. Toyota called it a power pack. Power steering, sports dash, central locking electric mirrors, did I say? Anyway, they're reasonably unusual on these cars because these cars were 13,990 drive-away hacks as put together and sold as economy cars. So if you did buy one, well, initially they were about 16 grand, I think, 15 and a half, 16 grand. And of course they had to deal with Hyundai, which were 13,990 drive away. They started that. The 90s was a time when a lot of tariffs were reduced or abolished on some cars. And as a consequence, a lot of imported cars became much cheaper than their Australian counterparts, which was partially responsible for the production here being sort of ceased, I guess, eventually. But these cars, by the time you option them, and some of them had, European ones, for example, you get a sunroof, But on these you get a safety pack, which was dual airbags, which would have been a Toyota Extravaganza, so it's probably good you don't see many of those. Some of them had ABS. I think that was a safety pack thing as well. There was the power pack we've just talked about. Then you had your 5 doors, which had standard 4-speaker stereos and noise. But what it did was it brought the price of them too high and too close to the Corolla, which was a slightly bigger car, or a little bit bigger, with a bigger engine and so forth. It's a better car. And you got all that stuff standard. So, I'm going to put those cables together first. I'll put these in the car. And then I'll stick that rack in. I think I might call it a day after that. My knee hurts. I've still got knee trouble. Well, the style looks the same from behind. And pretty similar from inside here. I've got those shift cables in. Now, I've got a dud knee, so I have to do it on one leg. One leg kneeling in here and the other leg sort of out the door while I put them in. This is about as much fun as erectile dysfunction, but they're there anyway. The other thing, I've given it a big drink of power steering. Nice and fresh. So you want to do these before they're used by date, because if you don't, they don't taste too good. So that's all in, and except like that's all sort of finalised and down there as well with all the factory bracketing and that sort of thing. That one there we're not quite reaching because the engine's right back on a stand. But you know, because it was left outside, you got all these rusty bits and pieces. I just swapped them out for some nice fresh ones. Same sort of thing here. I'll do those, and that painted cover's going to come off as well. Monday, I think, I'll take the flywheel and go and get it machined. The clutch that came out was exceeding. It was a good one. But this car's weird because it's got sort of, you've got a bumper support here, but not one on the other side. The crash support that goes longitudinally isn't here either, but I've got one of those. And I've also got a bonnet catch as well, because that's missing. So the car, I mean, these parts never fail on these cars. So I would think that's more to do with something has been crashed in the front and they've gone to get parts. It does look like it's leaning back a little bit, but I think that rad support is quite straight. Underneath, visibility is terrible. I keep doing this when it's dark. I don't know if you can see in there, I've just got to plumb up that idle compensator for when you're on full lock, and the rack's all in, it's all good. Much better condition than the manual one that came out. This car, having air conditioning, has the right pulley that will wrap around there and up around the power steering pump, so it's all good. But I'm sort of finished under here for now. There's our 2 gear shift cables, which are looking rather good, and then we can start putting it back together once I get that flywheel back. That was useless under there, I can't see anything. That's the cover for the uni that goes on the rack. I don't know what I've done with the shaft for that uni shaft that goes down there. You can see the orange tape is just sitting over the spline. While I've got it in the air, I'll change out the brake fluid and all that sort of stuff as well. I'm just hoping the motor and the trans is alright. If it's not, it doesn't really matter that much. I do have spares, as I said before. But I'm going to leave it there. Nothing much else to say really, except I hope you've enjoyed this. Take good care of yourselves, and I'll see you soon. So Charlie went and bought this 2016 Honda Jazz, and it's a 1600 manual. So because the kids all live at home, they don't pay board, I've always been of the opinion that they can pay for their cars, you know, their rego and service costs and this sort of stuff. Anyway, Charlie took it in for service, and they said, I thought it'd just be a 10,000, but they said no, it's missed, it's 160,000. It's a major service, it's $1,000. I thought, oh. So she called me on the way back from Graham's place when I was driving back from South Australia, and I said, look, don't pay that, I'll do it for you. $1,000 is too much. I don't care if they have to spend $500, but $1,000 I thought was too much anyway. They blew out to 1300 anyway. I said, no, stop them. Ring them up and say, no, don't do any more. And Charlie said, no, they've already started. I've got to do it. And all this. Anyway, then they ring. Well, then she rings back and says they've just called and said the brakes on the front have 3,000 kilometres left on them. And they're $800 to replace. And the problem I have with that is that I think it's BS, because when I measured them, the other one's very similar to this. That is 20.9 millimetres. 20.89, I think it was. Minimum thickness is 19, so it's a better part of 2 mil of wear that it still has. And to add insult to injury, the new ones are only 21.05. So it's virtually a brand new disc anyway. But they put that down as faulty. So I bought these from Burson, these IBS ones. The pads look to me to be half. So unless Honda Jazzes get about 6,000 kilometres out of front pads, I reckon that's a big stooge, a rip-off, just revenue raising. I think that's really poor. It's not even on the little squealer. You can see there, it's nowhere near it. So I'm very upset about that, for Charlie's sake. Turns out, I said, look, here's $800. I gave Charlie $800 and said you can pay the other $5, and I've just gone and got these. So that was like $245 to get the discs and rotors done. Had I known, I wouldn't have even bothered changing those. I think they're fine. They weren't shuddering. They've got a bluish overtone to them, which could have prompted their decision to say, no, you haven't got much left, because obviously there's a bit of heavy braking going on there. But at the end of the day, it does pay to understand how to read a mic, right? And then to look on the disc for where it says the minimum thickness, which will be on the hub somewhere. It's in there somewhere. It's on the hub and it says 19 millimeters is the minimum thickness on a disc that's got 20.9. So I think that is disgusting. What do you reckon? Shit. Move. Move, cat. Move. Move. Come on. Off you go.